Things got a bit touchy between Ben Affleck, Bill Maher, and Sam Harris on a recent episode of Maher's show. Let's watch.
We have been sold this meme of Islamophobia, where every criticism of the doctrine of Islam gets conflated with bigotry toward Muslims as people.
Right.
And that is it's intellectually ridiculous. Even it gets
So hold on, are you the person who understands the officially codified doctrine of Islam? You're the interpreter of that, so you can say, well, this is...
I'm actually well educated on this topic.
I'm asking you. So you're saying if I criticize you're saying that Islamophobia is not a real thing. That if you're critical of something...
Well, it's not a real thing when we do it.
Right.
Well, no,
It really isn't.
I'm not denying that certain people are bigoted against Muslims as people.
Right.
And that's a problem.
Big of you.
But
why are you so hostile about this?
It's gross. It's racist.
It's not. But it's so not.
It's like saying
It's
those
so not.
stateless, shifty Jew.
You're not listening
Absolutely
to
not.
what we are saying.
You guys are saying if you want to be liberals, believe in liberal principles like
Right.
freedom of speech, like
Right.
we are endowed by our forefathers with an inalienable rights, like all men are created
No.
equal.
Ben, we have to be able to criticize bad ideas. And
Of course we do. No liberal doesn't want to criticize bad
But
ideas.
Islam
But
at
why
this moment
would-
is the motherlode of bad ideas.
Jesus.
So we have
That's just
ideas
a
like
fact.
blasphemy.
It's not a fact.
It is
It's an ugly thing.
apostasy.
So yeah, that was contentious. You could tell that Ben Affleck was obviously pretty peeved from the first comment that he made, and it only got more aggressive from there. Of course, we're limited in how much of it we can show because it is from HBO, so you should track down and watch legally the entire episode so that you can understand the context. Understand for historic sake, I guess. I like Sam Harris. I've read almost all of his books, and in general, I think he's a very smart guy. But here, I don't understand what point he and Bill Maher think that they're making when they stand up as if they're being courageous and say, liberals aren't criticizing Islam enough. What do they think they're saying there? Okay, liberals, up to and including everyone on the internet and on TV, criticize it in the same way that they criticize other religions for doing the same things, and to the extent that Islam is doing worse things, they criticize them more. They're already saying that they're wrong in the cases where they're discriminatory against women or religious minorities in their countries. We're already against that, and clear and on the record. I don't know how Sam Harris and Bill Maher have missed those interviews, those quotes on TV. I don't understand how they've missed that. And I understand, I've been trying to work through what exactly it is that they want liberals to say. Now, I don't think that they've actually thought it through very much. They're both smart guys, but in this case, I don't think they have. But I'm sure that if you were to ask them and they were to try to explain it, they would say something that sounds quite intelligent and quite well thought out. But at the end of the day, what they seem to want liberals to say is, Muslims, you're bad people. Islam, you're the worst religion. And I know that that sounds ridiculous, and it might sound like I'm just trying to make them sound childish, but at this point, what did you get out of watching that clip? What do they want liberals to say? They seem to have some sort of emotional opposition to Islam above and beyond other religions that makes them require that we generalize. Like in the Muslim countries where there is female genital mutilation, no one is more against that than liberals. No one is more against women being blocked from holding political office or having rights like driving, obviously. But you can't help but understand, as Reza Aslan said on his CNN interview, that doesn't seem to be just an Islamic thing. It seems in many cases to be a thing of the Middle East and especially of Africa. And when you go outside of that region, there can be extremely large Muslim countries, the biggest Muslim countries, in fact, who don't have those same sorts of problems. Of course, they have fundamentalism in some cases as well, and that's a huge problem. And I, especially as an atheist, am against all sorts of fundamentalism. Look, if I could snap my fingers and no one was a Muslim, I would. But I would do it for the same reason that I would want everyone to abandon every unreasonable religious position that they currently hold. But that isn't enough for Bill Maher, and it isn't enough for Sam Harris. They have to have you come up and say, Islam, you are the worst of the worst. And I just don't understand what practical benefit that actually has, how that makes it easier to try to get people in these various parts of the world, and understand that we're talking about 1 out of 6 of everyone in the world, to try to get them to embrace science and rationality. In the same way that in there are places where there are Christian fundamentalists, I want them to embrace it too. Look, the violence of Islam right now does seem to be the most pervasive and most extreme religiously motivated violence in the world. It needs to end. Whatever we can do to stop it, we should do. Now, I don't think, like many conservatives do, that the solution is to perpetrate violence against them. I don't think that, especially a conservative saying that we're a Christian country, we should go and bomb them, they're the violent ones. I've never really understood that. I think that we should do what we can to lay the foundation for sustained economic growth in those countries, raise the standard of living, help emancipate women and give them all the rights that they don't have in some of these countries, but not all, and that will lead to more reasonable people in future generations. It's a long-term problem that needs to be solved in a long-term way beyond just bombing. And I'm not saying that Sam Harris and Bill Maher think that we should just go around bombing people willy-nilly. They don't seem to even be explaining what they think we should do. They just want to be clear. Everybody wants to be unique and they want to stand out. And those guys are incredibly famous. I don't think that they need it. But they seem to think that the solution right now is to show that they're tougher when it comes to Islam. And I don't think that it will accomplish what they think it will accomplish. Both of them very intelligent guys, and I agree with them on most issues. But I think that they don't understand the emotional subconscious biases they have against those people, that they're willing to generalize in the way that they do. And I haven't talked much about Ben Affleck, and so I do want to touch on that a bit. And this is tying in very much with what Reza Azan said on CNN. If you haven't watched it, you should watch those clips. It's stupid to talk about Islam the way that Bill Maher and Sam Harris do, because they refuse to say we're just talking about the most extremist fundamentalist Muslims right now. They want to say Islam. But it's stupid to say that, because even if ISIS has 30,000 members, which is more than the CIA says that they do, even if they do, that is a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of the well over 1 billion Muslims in the world today. Sam Harris is far better educated than me. He understands numbers and stats far better than I do, so I don't understand why he wouldn't understand that if you're talking about a minuscule percentage, it's ridiculous to just use the term that describes over 1 billion people. Why would you do that? Why would you make an enemy of more than 1 billion moderate, reasonable people who probably hate the extremists even more than you do, because in some cases they have been forced to actually see the effects firsthand of it? I don't understand that. Like I said, love Sam Harris's books. Think he's a great speaker when he talks about atheism for the most part. I agree with him. I think that his ideas about morality, while not as unique as he seems to think they are, since they are basically utilitarianism, are right on, and I generally agree with him. Bill Maher, I think, is a bit too smug for his own good, but I think he's quite funny, and he's obviously quite popular. But I think that they're wrong in this case. I think Ben Affleck, while probably in general terms knowing less about politics and religion than either of them, is correct in this case. If you disagree, feel free to let me know.